welcome back to the Nerdy BookTube channel, and today I'm coming to you with my July wrap-up, which I have filmed. Well, this is the third time, so yeah. The first two times I wasn't home and I recorded it, and when I reviewed the footage it was very awkward, so I decided not to go with those footage and wait until I was home and in my own setup to actually film it and be like, yes, this is me and this is what I'm bringing you and I'm happy with what I'm telling you. Anyway, with the help of my little notebook here, let's get into it. So the first book I read was The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This was an ebook, and honestly, I think that Rick Riordan books have a magic in them that it's just very unique, and I think that even for a middle grade to just capture us like that, and I'm 22, so I'm not exactly middle grade age anymore, but it's really good. We're following Percy and Annabeth and everyone in their preparations for the final battle. And yes, well, not the final battle, but one of the final battles, but it's just so good. And then we see character development and relationships and just characters growing, which is something that doesn't happen in a lot of books, but oh my god, yes, it's so good. And yeah, so that's it for The Battle of the Labyrinth. Then I read Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. Let's pull it to this side. This is book number 4 in the Throne of Glass series. We are following Selena as she is, well, she was the greatest assassin in the land, and then she was set up and caught and sent to kind of like a concentration camp, which is in Dovier. They are salt mines, and the life estimated, like the time you live there, is usually about a month. She made it a year. And so one day, a year after, Prince Dorian and Kale, his guard, they go there and say, yo, we have a proposition for you. If you accept in being my champion in my father's competition to be the king's assassin, and you work for him a bit, we'll set you free. And she was like, well, that's actually a good deal. And so she takes it. Now, the thing is, she has to go through the competition and survive the competition for it to take effect. That's basically the gist of it. Now, this is book number 4, so we have left the competition far behind. What can I tell you about this? There are some things in here that have left me a bit because they're not explained in this book. They're explained later, and I will get into that a bit more, but they are imagine, for example, that you have two people that don't like each other, and then you're like, well, we're gonna spend some time together training, and eventually they will start tolerating each other. They don't exactly have to like each other, but they will tolerate each other. And then they talk a bit and they realize they are more similar than they thought at first, and they're like, I actually kind of like you now. And now imagine that one of those people just goes away for a month, and the time is a month because it says so in here. And then when you're back, you're like, oh my god, yes, I love you, because we did things, and not those kind of things. Get your mind out of the gutter. But I think that the whole timeline of that relationship, and if you have read this, you'll know what I'm talking about, but the whole timeline of this relationship is a bit unrealistic to me, and that got me kind of iffy and really annoyed at the beginning of this. This was a book that was my companion throughout a very, very, very bad reading slump. So it was just with me, and I was just really, really annoyed at this in general at first. But yeah, then it's Sarah J. Maas. You go on adventures and you spend some time with the characters, and like Becca in the book says, you know, you have like a 600-page book where 300, 400 pages of that book may be like people just mingling together and sharing stories over the fireplace, but then you have those 200, 300 pages that are like, yes, and everything in those 200 to 300 pages will seem so much more meaningful because you spent that 400 pages just mingling with the characters and getting to know them and their little quirkinesses. English. But yeah, it's just so good. I really like it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars because of that beginning and that annoyance thing that happened. Next up, I read The Lost Olympian by Rick Riordan, and that was the conclusion to the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, which is the first series he ever wrote, I think. Well, at least that is known. But, well, he is so good at endings, and there are some things. It's really hard to talk about sequels without spoiling because I don't want to spoil it, but I do want to tell you what I thought of it, really. Well, basically, we're still following our beautiful main characters and everything in the final battle of of everything, and basically we have the demigods defending Manhattan, and then we have the gods defending everywhere else, basically. And they're like, well, I'm sorry kids, but you're gonna have to help me here. And they're like, well, shoot, okay, I'll do it, it's fine. I may die, but it's fine, don't worry. The strategy in this is so good, and it's really funny because you get points that they were left like open from the other books. I'm remembering the sand dollar scene specifically. If you've read it, you'll know what it is. If you haven't read it, you'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? But those are the best reviews. And yeah, so the sand dollar scene specifically, I laughed so hard. And it's funny how a book can make you laugh and cry in a matter of like 30 pages, 40 pages, something like that. I know a lot can happen in 30 or 40 pages, but damn, my heart, it just hurts. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, as usual. You can't ask me to be unbiased against this specific series because I read it when I was younger, and it is part of my childhood, so it's very, very nostalgic. Same happens with Harry Potter. You can't ask me to be unbiased against Harry Potter. It's just not happening. Then things started going downhill. I read The Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars, and I'm still thinking it should be a 1. But I'm not that bad, and I just can't give it a 1 because I haven't hated it that much. And that 1 star category is for those books that I loathe, really loathe. So my main problem with The Wicked Saints, basically we're following Nadezhda Lapteva, and she is a cleric and she has the power to talk to gods, and the gods can grant her magic. Now, the thing is, you're promised this big, huge world and this beautiful, well, the magic system really is beautiful, but you're promised all this action and this and that, and then you have a romance. And let me tell you, I like Sarah J. Maas, and she puts romance in her books, but you have action, and the romance doesn't overpower the action. the last 2 times that I recorded this, I used the cookie analogy, and I'm going to use it again because it's a good analogy. Now, imagine you are craving something a bit sweet and you see one of those cookies with little chocolate bits in it, and you're like, cookie. So here's a cookie, here is you. So you go plop, 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 and you're almost at that cookie, that little thing that's gonna make you like, yes. And then there goes romance, and it pulls your cookie like this. And you're like, well, crap. Now I'm gonna have to walk more to get my cookie. Let's do it. I'm not ready to give up on this book yet. So you continue. Cookie, 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 cookie. And you're almost at the cookie again. I mean, pull your cookie right around here, and it goes like this. Bam! Romance. And I'm like, no. I'm loving the politics. I'm loving the world. Please stop shoving romance down my throat. And it's not even good romance. It's not very well done or anything, so it's questionable. I don't like it. I think this book was way overhyped. I think the blurb on this one was very misleading, and I think everyone on BookTube, well, you can actually like the romance and be like, yes, I love this and everything is so good, but just beware that there's a lot of romance in it, and it kind of messes up the story a bit, because you're talking strategy and then that guy comes into the room and she's like, oh, I shouldn't love them, but I do. Oh no, my life is so bad. I'm about to be killed, but my biggest problem is that I shouldn't love that guy. Yeah. Anyway, then I read Pitchy Pitchy Pitch Volume 1 by Pink Hanamori, and this was, well, these were for the Book Junkie Trials, but I failed them, so I'll just let that slide, okay? I just didn't finish my prompts for the Book Junkie Trials, and this was supposed to be for Pirate Road. Oh, the Wicked Saints was supposed to be for Orcs Grove, but yeah, so Pitchy Pitchy Pitch, or Mermaid Melody, is an anime that is part of my childhood. I remember being little and being like singing with the mermaids and just the lights and the colors, and she was pink and there was a blue one and the green one and the purple one, and everything was just so pretty. I gave the manga 3 stars because I don't know if it is because I'm influenced by the anime, and the anime has all the colors and everything, and the manga has the singing scenes as well, but without having the girls singing it and everything, it's just so lackluster, and you're like, okay, you're singing, cute. Yeah, that's what happened to me, and it was enjoyable, but it just wasn't what I wanted from it, so 3 stars. And then I read my Glimmer book, and there will be an in-depth review of this book soon-ish, and it is The Hand, the Eye, and the Heart by Zoe Marriott. I give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. We're following Zillion, and she was described as a female at birth, but she doesn't feel comfortable or fully comfortable in the female role, so they challenge their father when a Red Scroll comes, which is a convocatory for the army and for the war, and their father is really, really sick, and their younger brother is way too young. So Zillion disguises herself or themselves as Zai, a guy, and they go to the camp. Now, I thought this would be like magical realism. It's not. It's historical fiction. And I was not expecting it, but I really, 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 really loved it. And I need to do some more research on Zoe Marriott because her writing style is beautiful. And I'm not going more into this because I am going to do an in-depth review on it. But if you want my initial thoughts, yes, go read. After that, I read this chunk of a book, which is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas, book number 5 in the Throne of Glass series, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This book explains some of the things that made me very, very annoyed on book number 4, and well, that just left me really, really glad, and it made me cry a lot. So we're still following the same group of characters. My beloved characters, like my favorite characters in this, get together, and not get together as in dating, but they just get along, and I'm like, yes, I'm loving it. Again, I can't say much, but I did cry at the end of this, and if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, and oh my god, heartbreaking. The last and final book that I read in July was Betrayed by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. This is book number 2 in the House of Night series. We're following Zoe, and she was just marked and she needs to go to the House of Night so she can transform into a full-fledged vampire. Now, the thing is, vampires aren't very well seen, and that's a problem. That's a big issue. So basically there was some stuff happening in the first book, and she is not a normal fledgling anymore because she has a full mark. And then we're still following this, and there are some complications, and I really can't say much because this series is very predictable. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This series is very predictable. It's trashy YA. It's a great palate cleanser, and well, if I tell you too much, you're gonna guess the story. That's basically it. But if you like vampires and a bit of trashy romances and romantic squares, and just go with it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. Don't expect the greatest literary fiction you've ever read, but it's good. It's fun. Well, that said, these were all my books that I read in July, so if you liked it, leave a thumbs up, click the subscribe button, and ring the bell for you to know when I'm posting, though I'm trying to post every Tuesday and Friday. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!